This video will cover Lesson 1-8, Part 2, numbers 7 through 10 for Secondary 1 Math, solving inequalities and interval notation. Number 7. 6w plus 5 divided by 2 is greater than or equal to negative 14. Here we have a rational inequality, and we're going to solve it the same way we would with our equations, except for when we multiply or divide by a negative, we need to flip the inequality sign. So we're going to go ahead and undo this division by 2 by multiplying by 2, or 2 over 1, on both sides of the inequality. Now these 2's will simplify to 1, so 1 times 6w's plus 5 is 6w's plus 5. And that's still greater than or equal to, because we multiplied by a positive, and then negative 14 times 2 is negative 28. Next, we're going to undo the addition of 5 and subtract 5. So now we have 6w's, or 6 times w, is greater than or equal to, because we subtracted. And negative 28 minus 5 is negative 33. Now last, we're going to divide by 6. Since it's 6 times w, we're going to divide by 6 to undo it, or do the opposite. So we end up with w, and 6 is positive, so we're going to do is greater than or equal to, and then negative 33 divided by 6. There's got to be something that can simplify here, so let's think about this. 33, so this would be 3 times 11. And then we have a negative there. And then we have 2 times 3. So if we simplify the 3's, we'll get negative 1 times 11, so negative 11 halves. Now writing this in set notation, we would have the set w such that w is greater than or equal to negative 11 halves. Okay, for interval notation, we would have w is an element. And notice w is greater than or equal to negative 11 halves. That's the smallest value, so we're going to include it using a bracket. Since we have the or equal to, negative 11 halves. And then we're going to have infinity. Alright, graphing. We're going to have negative 11 halves in the middle. We're going to go one above. So think about this really quickly. Would be a negative 10 halves. Negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5. So we're going to have negative 5 here and negative 6 to the left. Then we're going to have a closed circle, negative 11 halves, and it's going to go to the right to infinity. Okay, number 8. We have negative x divided by 8 minus 5 is greater than negative 14. So this one's set up slightly different. Notice that x minus 5 is not divided by 8, it's just the x. And so when we draw our line down, we're going to undo what's happening, or do the opposite. So we're subtracting 5, so we're going to add 5 first, since that's not part of our fraction, to both sides of our inequality, which gives us a negative x divided by 8 is greater than, and then negative 14 plus 5 is negative 9. Okay, now we need to undo the division by 8. And notice there's a negative sign here, so we're actually going to multiply by negative 8 over 1. So multiplying by negative 8 divided by a negative 8 will simplify this to 1 times x, which is x. Next, on the right side, we multiply by negative 8 as well. And so negative 9 times negative 8 is 72. But notice we multiplied by a negative, so we're going to flip our inequality sign, so x is less than 72. Now let's do a quick check of this. So let's substitute in something less than 72, like 0. So we have negative 0 divided by 8 minus 5 is greater than negative 14. We're going to see if this is true. 0 divided by 8 is 0. 0 minus 5 would be negative 5. So we have negative 5 is greater than negative 14. And that is true. Negative 5 is greater than negative 14. So we know we've done this correctly by switching our inequality sign. So let's go ahead and write the set notation. So we have the set x such that x is less than 72. And then interval notation, x is an element, x is less than, so from negative infinity, and then there's no or equal to, 72 with a parenthesis. Now to graph it, we have 72 in the middle, 73 on the right, and 71 on the left. And we're going to have an open circle, and the arrow goes left to negative infinity. Okay, so I'd encourage you to write these two down, 9 and 10, and actually try them on your own before you finish watching this video, just to get a little practice and to see where you're at and see if there are other questions that you have about this information. So go ahead and pause the video. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to work through these. Let's go ahead and walk through them. We have the inequality of 18 is less than 4y minus 2. So just like an equation, we're going to do the opposite of what's happening to our variable, the y. So we're going to add 2 to both sides of our inequality, which gives us 20 is less than 4y's. Next, we're going to undo this 4 times y by dividing by 4 on both sides of our inequality, which gives us 5 is less than y. Now we didn't switch our inequality sign because we divided by a positive number. So let's write this in set notation. So we have the set y such that y is greater than 5. So I flipped it, but notice I also flipped our inequality sign. Okay, next up we have interval notation. So y is an element, and since it's greater than, the first value is 5. No or equal to, so parenthesis on the 5. So 5 to infinity. Okay, graphing this, we have 5. Of course, to the right is 6, to the left is 4. We're going to have an open circle, and our arrow goes to the right to infinity. Number 10. 10 is greater than or equal to negative 6r minus 8. So let's go ahead and draw our line down from our inequality sign. And here we're going to do the opposite of subtracting 8 and add 8 to both sides of our inequality. So we get 18 is greater than or equal to negative 6r's. Or we can think of that as negative 6 times r, which helps us when we're trying to do the opposite of that, which would be division by negative 6. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 6. That gives us r on the right side of our inequality. 18 divided by negative 6 is negative 3. But because we divide by a negative, this is when we flip our inequality. So negative 3 is less than or equal to r. We could also think of this as r is greater than or equal to negative 3. Putting this into set notation, we have r, the set r such that r is greater than or equal to negative 3. Interval notation, r is an element from negative 3, and here instead of parenthesis we should put a bracket because it's an or equal to going to infinity. Okay, to graph it, we have our number line. We got negative 3 in the middle, negative 2 to the right, negative 4 to the left. We're going to have a closed circle because the or equal to or bracket on the negative 3, and an arrow pointing to the right going to infinity. This concludes Lesson 1-8, Part 2 for Secondary 1 Math, Solving Inequalities in Interval Notation.